think this is from Luca, right? So next question is a really difficult one from our friend Luca. And Luca, if some of you know, he's amazing coffee, I'd say coffee professional. I always love talking to him on social media, and he always asks difficult questions, challenging all of us. And here's another one. When we're doing a seed propagation or versus cloning, which one is better? In my opinion, the cloning is always better. Why? It's going to be more consistent. Our trees will be a lot more consistent in the size. Our cherries will be a lot more consistent, and our cup profile will be more consistent. But that doesn't mean that when we have established farm and when we have established varietal, and that varietal, I'm talking now about Arabica varietal, has gone through 7 generations, that varietal has not changed. That doesn't mean that varietal cannot be stable. Let's talk about Pacamara. Pacamara is Arabica varietal, which is a hybrid of Paca and also Maragogipe. Now, Maragogipe, it's a very large bean that was a natural mutation of Arabica in Brazil, and Paca is also a natural mutation of Bourbon varietal. And the Pro Cafe team have decided to make a hybrid of these 2 varietals to give us Pacamara. Now, when we're making a hybrids, we want to make sure that we're doing a cloning. And we're doing the cloning not only for 1 generation, but for 7 generations. And what I mean by that is that we plant the very first hybrid on the farm. We wait for the first picking to be, for the first cherries, which might take 3 or 4 years. And then after that, we're actually not putting these cherries and we're not planting them, because that varietal will not be stable. And trees will be very different. Some trees will look like Paca, some other trees will look like Maragogipe. That means that we need to go through 7 generations of cloning, picking the leaves, cloning the coffees, and making sure that's how we grow coffee. And after 7 generations is when that variety will become more stable, and that's when we can start using the seeds to plant the coffees to make sure that our trees are still looking great. Unfortunately, with Pacamara, that did not happen. Pacamara was sitting in a Pro Cafe lab in their botanical gardens for 5 generations, and after 5th generation, coffee went out. Farmers started getting these beautiful coffees, and then they started reproducing these coffees by taking the seeds. So these days, when we go to our farms in El Salvador, all over the world, we're going to see variants in these trees. When we go to Pacamara farms, some trees will be shorter, like Paca, other trees will be higher, like Maragogipe, and also when we look at these individual trees, when we look at the cherries, some berries will be smaller and rounder, like Paca, and other berries and cherries will be larger and bigger, like Maragogipe. So I encourage you, if you have Pacamara handy, please have a look at these beans, and you'll actually see variations in the sizes and the shapes of each individual bag. When it comes down to species, as I mentioned, I don't have much knowledge. I think we're all learning, as coffee professionals, a lot about the species. There are so many other people that have a lot more background and knowledge, what's the best way to do it. All I can say is that yes, we have taken some of the Liberica seeds from Malaysia, we planted them in Australia, and they are looking great. We've also taken some different species from different countries, and we planted them in Ethiopia and a few different countries. But this work has happened only 4 or 5 years ago, and we can start now seeing the results. We're going to be able to start tasting these coffees. And do we believe that in order to reproduce more of these coffees on this particular farm is a better way to do it through the seeds or the cloning? I definitely believe that we want to continue doing this as a cloning for next several generations, up until we see more stability of these species on these farms, up until we see more uniformity from all of the trees and uniformity of the cherries. But I'm also looking forward to learning more. If there's any comments, that anyone has any expertise in this field, I'd love to learn and love to start conversation. Thanks to you, Luca, for your great question, and looking forward to talking to you soon.